So in the last couple of my videos, a lot of people have been asking for a review of my bike. Now so far I've only had this for 4 months, and that is a little soon for a review, but I just decided to make a quick one just in case if any of you were looking to buy this bike. And for the past 4 months, this bike has been amazing. I've had no complaints. It's climbed well, it's descended well, it's done jumps perfectly fine. So now I'm going to go over some of the components on this bike, and I'll let you guys know if they're really good or if they're pretty meh. So I first wanted to talk about the brakes. Now, a lot of people don't like these brakes because they're like entry-level trail brakes. But I mean, they're quad piston brakes and they get the job done with braking. I've gone miles of downhill and they still work perfectly fine. So I like them. They're pretty decent, especially for the price. So my previous handlebars were 785mm, but these being 780, they felt perfectly fine for me. They didn't feel too narrow, so I just kept them. These are the original bars that came with the bike, and so is the stem. Now moving on to the fork. This fork has 180mm of travel, and I have it set at around 25% sag, and I still haven't serviced it, but I mean, it still feels fine, so I guess it'll do. Whenever I received this bike, I was pretty skeptical of the tires. I'd never even heard of the brand, but then suddenly I had a bike with these tires, and they perform pretty well. For the whole time I've had this bike, I've ridden it at least once a week, if not twice, and on the road and everything like that, and it still has quite a bit of knobs. Nothing looks too worn down yet. I also made these tires tubeless, and no punctures, they work just fine. Pretty good tires. So originally this bike doesn't come with a dropper post, so I had to install it myself. Now I installed the 1UP Components 180mm version 2, and I installed this one because the previous drop post I had from 1UP was extremely good. I had no complaints about it, and same goes for this one, if not better. This has 180mm of travel, worked perfectly fine. So I kept the stock saddle. Now this one's fine, but after maybe an hour or two of riding, my ass starts to hurt, so I might have to upgrade that to a WTB saddle later down the line. So a lot of the newer bikes are coming out with 1x12 drivetrains just from the get-go. Now before it was just like high-end bikes, but now it got down to the even low end. This is the first bike that I've ever had that had an Eagle drivetrain, and I can say that it's pretty amazing on the climbs. You can just get into a low gear and just keep on pedaling. So I've kept the whole drivetrain stock. I haven't upgraded the chainring. This is still the stock 34-tooth chainring. I still haven't found a need for a 32-tooth. This gets me up climbs perfectly fine, and I've done quite a bit of climbing on this bike so far. Now surprisingly, this bike does pretty well with climbing, considering that it's a big travel enduro bike, and I'm guessing that the 75.5 degree C-tube angle helps a lot, and also the nice Eagle drivetrain. On my very first ride this bike, I did some jumping and I immediately felt more comfortable in the air. I don't even know why. My previous bike would have been even better for jumping. This one's longer, but somehow it feels more nimble and it gives me more confidence to do some bigger jumps.
That shit's sketchy, it's so steep. You okay?
Hello there.
What?
Shit. I don't know.
Oh, that was perfect. Oh, hell yeah. Oh man. Right on your tail. I sent it like all the way down. I had way too much speed. Oh man.
All in all, this this bike is amazing for the price. If it were a carbon frame, it could easily be twice that, so around the $5,000 mark. And it's nice to see companies who are trying to focus more towards the budget-friendly side of mountain biking, not the companies who are just making bikes that are in the $10,000 range that only certain people can buy. Well, that was my review of the 2020 Commencal Clash. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section. I'll be sure to answer them. And thank you guys so much for watching.